You're listening to Convenience Matters, brought to you by NACS. Whether it's for food, fuel, drinks, or snacks, about half of the U.S. population shops at a convenience store every day. We'll talk about what we see at stores and what the future may hold for our industry.
Specifically, we know that 39 million people fill up their cars on a daily basis. Why do they fill up? Where do they go? What else do they buy? And why do they come to that store? That's what we're going to talk about today. Welcome to Convenience Matters. My name's Jeff Lenard with NACS.
And my name is Donovan Woods with the Fuels Institute and NACS.
And I'm Lori Stillman with NACS.
And today, the panel will talk about the most recent NACS Consumer Fuel Survey. NACS has done these surveys for over a decade. Let's marry that with some of the research that Lori and her research team look at around CTP. And also let's marry that with what John Eichberger and Donovan and team are all doing, looking at it from the Fuels Institute side. So let's just have a nice bouillabaisse of discussion about what do consumers think and what can retailers do about it. And it's also the focus of the March 2020 NACS magazine cover story. We look at trends, and the headline is, do people come to convenience stores because of cheap gas, good food, clean stores, etc.? And I think one of the things that we really found as we do these surveys and as we look at research from CTP and elsewhere is that there's a real story to tell your store's story before somebody shows up. And one of the metrics we found this year is when we asked customers, do you have a favorite store when you go shopping? Is it for gas? Is it because, do you seek it out specifically? 62% of consumers, gas consumers, say they seek out a specific store, and that is double 8 years ago, which tells us a couple things. One is we've had low gas prices. We haven't had $3 national gas prices since October 2014. The other thing is the in-store offer has evolved to such a level, people are starting to seek out convenience stores for the store and, oh, by the way, gas. And is that something that surprises either one of you in terms of some of the data that you look at?
No, not at all. I think, what we're seeing is a huge commitment on the part of the retailer to make what's happening inside the four walls of the store a place where you want to go in, you want to check it out. You might even want to spend a couple of minutes and stay. And that's very different from what I'll call the gas station that I grew up with, where it was very much about a transaction as opposed to about an experience.
And I'd agree with that. And I think, we talk about millennials? We talk about them bad all the time. We just really rip those poor kids up. But I want to say, I think they have helped me think about things differently because they demand quality, they demand change, they demand what they want. And that seeps into my own thinking. And I think when I saw this stat, 62%, I fall into that. I fall into it, especially when you have comparison where everyone is paying relatively the same for gas, then I want something else that's going to be that marker for why I go back. And that's what that thinking started for me. And think about that. 39 million people buy gas a day. 39 million people. That's a lot of potential for C-stores to actually capture this audience. And I'm glad we're doing this discussion. I'm glad that NACS is focusing on it as well, because we're all consumers. We all purchase gasoline, at least I do. My family does. And we definitely pick it based on how it makes us feel, that particular store.
And I think really what it's done is it's changed the way you talk about buying gas. It used to be, I have to buy gas or I have to go to this store. And now it's a little bit more, I want to. Now, we're not saying that buying gas is fun, but we're saying it's a lot closer fun than it used to be perceived.
Thinking about my mom used to say, hey, we're going to shopping for groceries or we're going to go do this. It was a chore. I hated it. And same thing with getting gas. When I first got my license, it was, I got to get gas. I'm running out of gas. Now, as you get older, you plan things a little bit. And that thought of getting gas isn't just that. It's also, well, I know I'm going to go to this store because they have 2 bottles of water for $2. It's the perfect size I like. I know the guy that works there. They also have this that I want. And I can walk out. And for me, just rewards. I love being rewarded for being loyal and having that as an option that I get things back. Well, yeah, that's kind of the icing on the cake for me.
I think about just, with my family, as we pull in to get gas, when I grew up, it was dad got out, he put gas in the pump and we got back in and we drove off. Now it's, hey, who's going inside? hey, while you're in there, will you grab me this or this?
Absolutely.
And it's all of a sudden the entire car empties out, and we all have different missions inside the four walls of the store. I'm going to go order a fresh cup of coffee. My daughter's going to go pick a beverage that she wants and maybe a snack. But we all then rally back at the cash register with who's got what, and off we go. And it's a family experience, which sounds really weird to hear that coming out of my mouth, but that's exactly what it is.
Yeah, and as part of that, 19% of gas customers said the last time they went to buy gas, they also went and used the bathroom. So whether it's in the neighborhood or whether it's on the highway, you have 1 of 5 people going inside the store. And of course, that's part of the whole scheduling. Like, I'll go inside because I'm going to use a bathroom or I'm going to use the ATM or something like that. So it sets up that whole one-stop shopping. And it's not like, just wait for those numbers to spin around. We got missions. And we've actually heard that in focus groups that NACS has recently done. One of the phrases that somebody used is mission accomplished.
Oh, that's fantastic.
And it's like, how do you accomplish what you need to accomplish in that couple minutes you're in a convenience store?
And you mentioned the bathroom. That is part of the plan. If you're driving and you're going on a little road trip, you don't usually, in the past, you'd say, we're going to stop here and go to the bathroom, and then we're going to go get gas. It was 2 different places. Now there are stores we can go to, and that's going to be a part of the trip when we go, because we know it's going to be clean. No one wants to go into a place where they feel uncomfortable, and to be able to also not only refuel, also grab something for your body, whether it's a drink or food, but also go to the restroom and not feel as if that was a letdown. That's important to a lot of people. So clean restrooms, again, is part of the customer experience.
It is. One of the things I was going to say is when we looked at our most recent CTP data, one of the things that we saw was within 30 minutes of someone at a convenience store, we still have about 15% who say, I'm going to get back in my car and I'm going to go to a quick serve restaurant. Now, in our household, we tend to pass the quick serve restaurant. We start to pick the location that we're going to stop to get gas at, because we know each of us can get whatever food we might be looking for made to order, or I can go find a fresh, keto-friendly protein pack that I feel good about eating. And if somebody still wants to get something that might be more the traditional salty snacks, candy, that's there too. But we feel really good about our choice, and we don't have to go somewhere else.
Now, Laura, you mentioned CTP. That's Consumer Tracking Program, and that's something NACS has where you have tens of thousands of consumer intercepts that dive deep into the issue.
Absolutely. We talk to 10,000 convenience store shoppers every year, and we catch them on their way in the store, on their way out of the store. And we also talk to shoppers who are just simply getting fuel and have no intention of going inside. And we start to understand trip motivators. Did they accomplish what they came to do? Did they do things that they weren't planning on doing? And why is that? And that rich set of data helps us start to understand the ways that we can win trips, protect the trips that we have, and start to convert people who might not be taking full advantage of everything that a store has to offer, so that we can win those dollars as well.
So one other metric where we talked about why people may come to the store. Now, once they come to the store, why are they there? And we found that for the 3rd straight year, more people say they buy gas midday than any other time period. It's roughly a third, breakfast, midday, evening rush. But the last 3 years, midday has ruled in terms of the highest percentage of people who are buying gas. And so the question is, why is that? Is that because the level of our food offer has accelerated so much we are the lunchtime destination for food? Or is it that there are more people who are working at home that are finally getting out around then, or they're avoiding the rush hours? Or is it because more boomers are retired now and they don't want to necessarily fight that rush hour crowd? So I think it's yes to all of those. And I was looking for your perspective in terms of what you might be seeing or thinking about how customers are coming at lunchtime now.
Yeah, so I definitely think that we're starting to win more lunch trips than we've ever had for what we're being able to provide outside of the gas purchase, right? So the ability to go inside the store and get other needs met is something that I think more and more shoppers every day recognize. And so I think what we have to now start to understand is, for those shoppers who may not have the time in the morning or maybe choosing to hit us at the midday opportunity, how do we start to evolve what's happening in the store to be relevant to them at that point in the day. And I think that's still probably some ground left for us as an industry to conquer, is how do we continue to pivot and evolve the offering throughout the day so that we not only are winning the morning early trips, we're starting to see more people midday, and we're starting to see people even later in the day because they all have needs and they're different.
And that's what we saw. There was a CNN story that said convenience stores, watch out restaurants, convenience stores have excelled at offering breakfast and lunch, and now they're coming for dinner.
That's exactly right.
So that fits into you work on lunch and then see how you can get that dinner day part as well.
And thinking about the fact that people are going to be driving this year, probably is estimated roughly the same. It's not going to go down too much. I know we were always thinking about vehicles miles traveled with the different types of alternative driving options out there, but we're looking at probably the same number this year. That means people are still coming back to refuel. So if you're listening and you're a C-store retailer, what are you doing to prepare for your customer that's not going away? We definitely hear a lot about electric vehicles. It is the shiny object. It's fun. I'm not going to say it's not. But right now, consumers still drive gas-powered vehicles as well, by far the majority. So what are you doing for your customer? And also, what are you doing to set up for this new customer that has a different type of dwell time? How can you meet both of their demands? And I think becoming a destination, not just an energy provider, has to be a part of that equation.
Yeah, and Donovan, feeding off of that, there was a stat. We asked people about electric vehicles. Do you have a preference? Are you going to be buying a car in the next few years? And of course, we're seeing more people that are saying they'd consider an EV. Mm-hmm. But I know the Fuels Institute has also done some studies where you go from 50% say they will consider an EV. It's over 50%, and 2% buy EVs or something like that.
People are still people, and you may have good intentions. We see things that are happening in the environment, and that triggers we need to do more for our own environments, for our future, of our children, our grandchildren. And so part of that thought sometimes is, I'm going to do something with, an EV or a hybrid, something where I'm not burning as much fuel. But then you are still a person. You get inside the store and you like to be comfortable. And if you don't feel comfortable with the arrangements for EV infrastructure, you get what you used to. So that still exists. It is, again, you're seeing an increase of people purchasing electric vehicles for sure, but your customers are still going to be gas dominant or liquid fuel dominant customers. So that's not going anywhere in the foreseeable future.
So, in one of the things, Donovan, we found in the NACS Consumer Fuel Survey in 2020 is that 54%, we asked customers, where would you charge? Do you have capability to charge at home, like a garage? Do you have the capability to charge at work in some sort of controlled environment, or do you not have the ability to charge either at work or home? The majority of people in the United States don't have the ability to charge. Right. 54% said that they don't have the ability to charge. So I guess for those people, if they were to consider an EV, their use case would be much, much different than those who would be coming and just maybe getting that 10%, that 20% top off. Right. So I guess with retailers, you also have to look at that struggle. Do you want that 20-minute, 30-minute charge? And are you prepared for somebody to take that spot for that long? Right. Or do you make it that 4 or 5, 6 minutes where somebody can quickly get 10, 15, 20%?
And it's a difference in terms of investment. Different charging networks are going to have a little bit more power, but yet it's going to also be something that costs you a little bit more to actually get set up. So it comes down to looking at your market and seeing who exactly is your customer, how many vehicles are being sold in your area, working with Fuels Institute, NACS, looking at SOI, all these different things that can help you make a good decision before you actually do it. But at the same time, just look around. Look around at your customers, look who's coming in your stores, talk to your customers. You'll find out a lot by just asking questions, and you'll see that what people, again, may say isn't what they're doing, and what's being reported isn't what's happening in your market, but pay attention.
Yeah, I think learning what will give someone the motivate to dwell at your location while they're charging versus somewhere else, such a simple question to ask. Yeah. Like, hey, if you're going to spend 30 minutes, what could we deliver to you? How could we help you best use that time? Because time is the commodity that is the constant, regardless of where they need to go to charge. How do we understand what they most need at that point in their day and figure out, is it pairing up some new service that typically isn't co-located with a store? Is it giving them a great place to go and not only charge their vehicle, but their phone and make a couple of business calls while they're waiting? And there's all kinds of opportunities that I don't think we're scratching and asking questions on just yet.
Yeah, and even how, you made me think, how would they even sit? I think traditionally people, you think, oh, well, I'll just sit in my car. It's kind of boring. It could be cold. It could be all kinds of things. Get them inside the store, you're expanding their horizons and also perhaps opening their wallet. And do you have traditional seating where maybe one person is taking a four top table, or do you look at, say, bar seats along the wall where plenty of chargers for your phones? They can do that. Love the idea, Lori, about how do you think about something new? Pick anything in a community, a realtor, something like that, a mini bank. How can you have a discussion on something that you really don't really think about much, but it's kind of important? A mini DMV. My goodness, would that be awesome? Now, I don't know if a half hour would be enough, but those kind of things, that really expands the idea of where you can put in EV and why somebody would come to your stores.
You mentioned earlier about the times of day people go to, and at the Fuels Institute, most of our team gets to work remote a couple days a week. And for me, because getting gas is now a destination for me, I plan around it. I typically go in the middle of the afternoon where I know people aren't coming home from work yet. People have already gone to work in the morning, but I also have to eat lunch. So I'll grab something to eat there. I'll fill up, and I don't have a electric vehicle, so I'm not dwelling as long, but I can stick around because the place I go, the specific C-store I go to, has indoor seating. That's nice. It's convenient. It's quiet. Sometimes there's even a TV playing, ESPN, which I'm all in for that. But I have Wi-Fi. Having Wi-Fi to be able to get back on the work network, and not just on my phone, but my computer, and it's just as fast as going to a library or somewhere public, that is key. And if I can spend 20 minutes there, 30 minutes there, eat, get gas, as well as actually do some work, and it doesn't feel like I've lost any time, that means a whole lot.
Yeah, and when we started these NACS consumer surveys, we started them in the mid 2000s, and at the time, 2007, 2008, 2009, we were dealing with $3 gas. We were dealing with $4 gas. We were dealing with people who were very upset about gas prices, and there was a misunderstanding about the retail contribution to that price of gas. So a lot of the questions we asked back then were basically around, here's a proof point to show we don't gouge. Because we can talk about margins, we can talk about those other things, but how do we describe consumer behavior? And one of our favorite questions that we asked is, what would you do to go 5 minutes out of your way? Would you take a left-hand turn across a busy intersection? Would you go 5 minutes out of the way? Would you go 10 minutes out of the way? And with 10 minutes out of your way, we looked at that, and you would actually burn more gas than any kind of savings and in 20 minutes of your life. But so that was kind of a fun one. But we upped the ante this year. And not only did we ask what you would do to save a couple cents a gallon, the question is, what would you do to go out of your 5 minutes out of your way? And we asked, save 5 cents a gallon. 63% said they would go 5 minutes out of their way to save 5 cents a gallon. That makes sense. But 72% said they would go 5 minutes out of their way to go to the store that they liked. And that gets us to what we were talking about earlier, the in-store offer, which is so critical because we know that people still care about gas price. We're never going to get away from that. But we have evolved over the last 7 years where in 2013, 71% of consumers said that they pick a location based on gas price. That is the number one determinant. We're at 58 now. So we've lost 13 points in 7 years, which isn't dramatic, but when you think about that, that is a shift where they're coming to the store, number one, because it's convenient to their needs. And that can be location, but more likely than not, it's because they're going inside, because now half of the gas customers are coming inside the store. Big shift. And Lori, you touched upon that earlier. It's the family type experience where everybody has a mission and you're going to come back mission accomplished at the end of that 5 or 10 minute experience.
Yeah, and I think that there's some interesting kind of perspective when you think about, I'm a consumer who doesn't probably pay attention to the price of gas like I should, right? So I'm definitely in the camp of I'm picking a location because of all of the other things that matter to me. And I think one of the things that we have to make sure we understand is, how many of shoppers and consumers are like me versus who are the ones that it really is about, the price point moves up or down a couple of pennies and it really is going to shift where they go. Those are the ones that are most important to understand. what matters to them from an experiential perspective. You've already got me, right? I've already been sold on your gas, your assortment, your clean store, what have you. The person who is really motivated purely by price, which, by the way, consumers today tell us more and more, price isn't the key decision maker for them anymore and where they choose. Let's face it, the number one online retailer isn't known for being the cheapest on their products, but it's about the convenience and the
how
time
fast.
they get back and
Yes.
how fast. And I think the same is true here. So when price is an issue, what are the things that mitigate that versus all of the other things that add up? And it's about perceived value and access. And so that's where we have tons of opportunity, because who knows where gas prices are going to go, right? Cars are becoming more efficient. People are spending, by and large, less on gas in total of their annual household expenditures than they did in the past. So how do we attract all of those other dollars that otherwise will leak somewhere else?
I think that's important. And what you just said, it makes me come back to that same statement of becoming a destination. Mm-hmm. It has to be more than just providing energy. And it doesn't matter. Don't think about just, we got to have more EVs or more gas. Be something more than just an energy provider. And I think that will open up your customers to a better experience, and you may enjoy being with your customers even more because of that.
Well, it's funny. I listened to a video that NACS had produced probably 30 years ago this week. I was doing some research on something, and I found myself watching a video. And they talked about the importance of a clean parking lot with no potholes and well-striped lines so that people felt comfortable about coming in. And sometimes it's the most basic of things. Yeah. It was about the consistency of experience that, at the time, this growing QSR restaurant that we all know with their yellow arches was like having, but it was predictable experiences time and time again. And I don't think 30 years later, any of that has changed.
No.
And it's the basics that we have to execute well on, and then we get rewarded with everything else.
And Lori, to your point about time is more important than money. One of the questions that we asked for the second straight year is about evolving technologies, that whether they apply to our channel or not. What do you think about delivery? What do you think about autonomous vehicles? What do you think about all these things, cashierless checkout? And for every one of these things, consumers said, more than 50% of them said, yeah, I'm interested. I'm intrigued. Let's see how you can bring this into the store. So then we asked a follow-up question. You like this. Which reason do you say you like this? Is it because it's cool? Is it because it saves you time? Or is it because it saves you money? And for every one of these things, time outpulled money by 2 to 1. So I jokingly said that time isn't money, time doubles money, at least in terms of polls. And it is all about saving time, and you can make a lot of money.
It is the number one thing available for sale today, I would believe.
I think that's pretty good that we have convenience in our name, because that is time.
Absolutely.
Well, you can read more about our findings in the March 2020 NACS magazine. Also online, we have convenience.org/fuels, and also under the research tab under convenience.org, plenty of information on how you can get smarter and sell some time.
Convenience Matters is brought to you by NACS and produced in partnership with Human Factor. For more information, visit convenience.org.